Okay, how you doing today? Welcome back to Invictus. So, what I wanted to do today was talk a little bit about the Samaritan woman, or the Samaritan woman here, and talk about the living water that Jesus wanted to help understand, and a little bit more about the message here, because this is really, really thick with information here that's really good for everybody. And so I'm just going to go over this. Just going to start with the Samaritan woman part, not the first part. So after he returned from Galilee, let's go to we're starting out at 4. So this is John 4. This is John chapter 4, number 4. So we'll start there. All right, good. The Samaritan woman. He had to pass through Samaria. So he came to a town of Samaria called Sychar, near the plot of land that Jacob had given to his son Joseph. Joseph's well was there. Jesus, tired from his journey, sat down there at the well. It was about noon. A woman of Samaria came to draw water. Jesus said to her, "Give me a drink." His disciples had gone into the town to buy food. The Samaritan woman said to him, "How can you, a Jew, ask me, a Samaritan woman, for a drink?" For Jews use nothing in common with Samaritans. Jesus answered and said to her, "If you knew the gift of God and who is saying to you, 'Give me a drink,' you would have asked him, and he would have given you living water." The woman said to him, "Sir, you do not even have a bucket, and the cistern is deep. Where then can you get this living water? Are you greater than our father Jacob, who gave us the cistern and drank from it himself, with his children and his flocks?" Jesus answered and said to her, "Everyone who drinks this water will be thirsty again. But whoever drinks the water I shall give will never thirst. The water I shall give will become in him a spring of water welling up to eternal life." The woman said to him, "Sir, give me this water, so that I may not be thirsty or have to keep coming here to draw water." Jesus said to her, "Go call your husband and come back." The woman answered and said to him, "I do not have a husband." Jesus answered her, "You are right in saying, 'I do not have a husband,' for you have had 5 husbands, and the one you have now is not your husband." "What you have said is true." The woman said to him, "Sir, I can see that you are a prophet. Our ancestors worshipped on this mountain, but you people say that the place to worship is in Jerusalem." Jesus said to her, "Believe me, woman, the hour is coming when you will worship the Father neither on this mountain nor in Jerusalem. You people worship what you do not understand. We worship what we understand, because salvation is from the Jews. But the hour is coming and is now here when true worshippers will worship the Father in spirit and truth, and indeed the Father seeks such people to worship him." God is spirit, and those who worship him must worship in spirit and truth. The woman said to him, "I know that the Messiah is coming, the one called the Anointed. When he comes, he will tell us everything." Jesus said to her, "I am he, the one who is speaking with you." Okay, so I can continue this. You can also continue this too. I'm going to just scroll this down for you, so in case you want to read ahead a little bit. I think it goes to 60. but I really only wanted to go to like 42, so I'm going to leave it up till... I'm going to leave it up to there. So you can go ahead and read the rest of it for this particular part here. You can also check out the link down below if you want to read along as well. Let me know if you do. But so what I wanted to say here was that Jesus was talking, she was asking about a living water that he was going to give to us. And when he describes this to the woman, he's making a very simple statement here, that she comes there to get water to drink to survive. He's talking about a spiritual water that is a well within inside you. He goes to a well. He's telling her about a well within her. He's going to open that up for her. A part of the description is that she's not with a husband. At least she says she's not with a husband, but she is with somebody, but she has had multiple husbands before. He's saying to go call your husband, to go find the one person. Part of this, what this means too, is that what Jesus is trying to help her have is this joy within her life. She'll have this joy within her life. She'll have this spiritual part of joy. And Jesus also referenced this that God is spirit, and we need to worship him in spirit, spirituality. This is what Jesus is saying right here. The Father, but when true worshipers will worship the Father in spirit and truth, and indeed the Father seeks such people to worship him. So, spirit and truth, it's what's within you. It's not a physical thing. So every time you read this, you're thinking you're getting a physicality, but you're really getting is a spirituality of what's really going on there. And that's what Jesus is trying to say here. He's saying right now people worship in Jerusalem, but the hour is coming in which they won't have to worship in a temple. They won't have to worship on a mountain. They won't have to worship in a temple. A lot of holy people would go up to mountains to get an understanding of God, and they would take their rest there, meditate and that sort of thing. It's going to be something that comes from within you. It's going to be something where there's a lot of other holy people that will talk about the fact that when you're trying to look for a husband, especially this type of husband that she felt she was lacking, or that she was divorced multiple times, where she is constantly bouncing around. She's coming there. This is a little bit of a metaphor in the fact that she's coming there to drink because she needs nourishment, sustainment, and stuff. He's talking about her sustainment with her relationship with her husband. He's going to give within her a spiritual force that just keeps flowing, and she can sustain herself. What it seems to be is that because she's had so many husbands, she's never had the nourishment of a relationship with a husband that sustained her. This is a part of the connection between what is being said here and what is being said. As far as a relationship is concerned, what it seems to be that Jesus is even saying here is that you will have the love within you, that you will not seek more than you can get out of the relationship. Go seek the husband that fits you. But what you're going to be getting from what Jesus is saying is that you will be getting this eternal well within you. You won't need to seek another person to satisfy yourself as far as that relationship goes. You'll only really need the one that complements you. Now, as far as a relationship is concerned, it seems to be that that's the way. There's a lot of holy people, a lot of very knowledgeable gurus, and a lot of very knowledgeable people that will basically end up saying the same rhetoric here. You have to be the light of yourself for others to see. But when she was in this relationship, she was looking, she was thirsting, she was desiring something that she didn't have within her. When she starts to have this well within her, this joy, this happiness, all the qualities that she can have for herself, she won't need to desire that for all these multiple men and go through all these relationships. She will just be with the one husband that complements her, whereas she doesn't need anything from him. This is what Jesus is trying to get to. He's trying to help us understand how we can build this up for ourselves. We'll have this within ourselves where we won't need other people. We may have some bodily desires, that's for sure, but we won't need them as far as them taking care of us in the spiritual matters. We will be able to sustain ourselves because of the understanding of goodness, of love, of joy, everything that encompasses a holy and loving God, a holy, loving, creating source. Everything that encompasses that, we'll have that within ourselves. We won't have to jump around with relationships to find that. It'll be within us. We won't have to try to search out here, search out there. Even Jesus is saying, like, why are you here? Aren't you supposed to worship here? Isn't spirituality in the temple? That's basically what she's asking. Isn't spirituality in the temple? It's I don't understand this. Shouldn't it be there? And then Jesus is saying, no, the hour is coming when you won't worship in the temple or on a mountain. The Father is in spirit. God is spirit, and those who worship him must worship in spirit and truth. So the spirit, basically the spirit and truth that resonate within you. You know what's good. You know what's right. You know how to be joyful and happy. You know how to be these things. If you just be yourself, you become yourself, and you take upon you all the qualities of the goodness of your childhood, of your youth, you can exuberate that outwardly. Other people will see this. And somebody that would compliment you in a relationship would see this if they are also in that way. And you give off. It's basically, what I'd have to basically say about this is that there's basically, mostly there's two types of people. And this is how the world has been. For the most part, I mean, as far as, well, I guess it depends on everybody's personal situation, but for the most part, there's people that take and there's people that give. And if you are more on the side of taking, then you're always going to look to other people to see what you can take from them, because you don't know how to procure that for yourself. You need to take it from them because you don't understand what it means to give it from yourself. You don't understand that. Now there's people that give because they know what's within them, they can give it and resonate it to other people, and they're giving people because it comes from within them. Now a lot of takers will take from the givers, but if everybody turned into a giver, there would be so much abundance of happiness and joy in this world that there wouldn't be, that people that think they need to be takers just wouldn't be takers. They would probably move into the giving sense of nature. And so it's what's within you. It's your heart, it's your soul, it's your mental capacity. It's what you can give intellectually. It's what you can give when you feel you have the time to do something for somebody else. That's all a part of what it is. And what Jesus was trying to help her with was the fact that she was lonely and she was sad, and she had so many relationships to try to fulfill that, and she finally ended up not having a husband. She just sort of got away from the idea of putting herself into a relationship, but Jesus told her to go back to the relationship that would be of a complementing feature aspect of it, because he told her if she asked him for this, she would have it, and then she did ask for it. So she is of the type of person that wants to have something within her that she doesn't, that would keep her alive. She didn't have a full understanding of it. She was almost thinking that it was possibly to do mostly with water, but as he went on and talked to her, she started to understand that he was the prophet, the Messiah, and she wanted to tell everybody about him. So she started to fully understand this. But that's the point in life. A lot of the times we bounce around with so many things, and a lot of times For a lot of people, it's relationships, because they think, well, they didn't find everything they needed in this relationship, because they're looking to that person to take what that person can give to you. And that's not necessarily the best way to do it. But this does happen. But if you want the perfect relationship, if you want to have a glowing love within you that you can sustain yourself, whereas she wasn't able to sustain herself with all the relationships he's had, it has to come from within. And Jesus is talking about spirit that's within you. The prayer, the spiritual aspect, the side with God, is within you, and it's going to burst out, and it's going to be that for everybody else. It's the happiness, the joy, it's the fun, all the good things that you can do that you know are within you. Let's say you're a very humorous person. If that's who you are and you know it, don't feel ashamed, don't feel embarrassed. Be yourself. This is what that's what it basically boils down to, is be yourself, but in a good, kind, loving way. Because a lot of people want to know, did Jesus want to tell them specifically what to do? Now, here's the thing. Jesus would put things in a sort of a parable or a sort of a metaphorical way for you to understand what you can do, but he can't necessarily tell you specifically what you have to do, because we have free will. If you're told specifically what to do and you have free will, you really don't have free will. Then you're just a robot. That's what you are. If somebody tells you what to do and you do it, you don't think about why you've done it. You've just done it because someone's told you. You're literally a robot or somebody's servant, or just following an instruction. You have really nothing about you that makes you a person that's unique, and a person that is actually trying to be something good. See, I actually see this in a funny kind of way, the way that we're trying to create the AI to see if it has intelligence. But you can see how even when they work on the Sophia AI intelligence, you can see they'll try to tweak her intelligence the way that they want it to be in some cases, but they want it to have its own intelligence. Now we have a very childlike understanding of that. It seems that we kind of do, and to make an AI and to give it the ability to think and to understand, if it doesn't have a choice, it doesn't have the free will. Now, what we understand about God, or the source of creation and all that, is that it wanted us to have the choice of free will to choose Him. When it made the angels and it made those types of entities, the natures and all those things, they are robotic in a sense that they just do what they do. They don't really think about it too much. They just do what they do. Some of the ones that turned against them, I believe that they did get free will at some point somehow, and they chose against it, which is where the demons and all that stuff comes from. But when we have a situation with what we're in, we have the ability to grow from a spiritual side within ourselves to constantly bubble over and create this well within us of love and kindness that other people can see, that may bounce around and help other people to want to be that too. I mean, it's also going to attract the people that are just takers too. That's a part. They need to take and feed from you until they understand, how to do that. And I think for those kind of people, they kind of got lost in life somewhere. And it's not to say that if you're a giver, you're only a giver. And if you're a taker, you're only a taker. Everybody's a certain portion of that, and then they have a little bit of taking somewhere. Maybe unconsciously they do, Unconsciously there's some part of you that is taking from somebody else. The only people we can say are perfect are the ones we consider spiritual monks, Buddhas, gurus, Jesus, I'm Christian, so, I believe in Jesus. And Jesus was put up high on a pedestal by the Zoroastrians, I believe, and some other cultures as well. They believe him to be a very high, holy source of connection to God. You know, he says he's the Son of God. I believe that. He even says in here too that in here he says we can also become sons of God. And it's better for us to be sons of God than servants of God. So it's not so much as following what somebody else says, but to be that for ourselves to give other people. We want to be the sons and daughters of God, not the servants. Angels are servants. Angels do what he wants them to do. I'd prefer to be a son. If you're a female, you'd prefer to be a daughter. You know, you want to be family. You don't want to be just told what to do and you just act like a robot and just do that. You want to have the free will to choose this. So, as far as this is wholly concerning, it was about her understanding of relationships. What she was trying to take from relationships was what was missing within her. Jesus was going to give her that ability to unlock that piece of the missing puzzle that was within her that would flow out, and she wouldn't have to need all these men. She would just only care to be with one. So that's where Jesus is coming in with that. This is part of the connection. He's talking about the spirituality where at this point in time, there won't be a need for temple worship. There won't be a need for mountain worship. I mean, not worship the mountain, but going to the mountain to worship on the mountain, or going to the temple to worship in the temple. It's going to be something that's within you that you will cause to illuminate the world. And so this is where Jesus comes in, and this is what he's saying. Later on, he goes on, and if you read later, they ask him if he's ate. He says, I've already eaten. I'm, the food. I have the food to eat of which you do not know. So the disciples said to one another, could someone have brought him something to eat? Jesus said to them, my food is to do the will of the one who sent me and to finish his work. So they're asking him they're asking him about physical food. He's telling them about spiritual food. And that is what he is sating here. He is sating his spiritual appetite as far as finishing that. And then he goes and talks about the harvest, and the harvest is about the souls, the spirituality of that, and we go further and further into it. But yeah, that's really what I felt that was important to say, because I did talk about this before, but I'm not sure I really finished my thought the best way I could, because I think this stuff a lot in my head, and the way that, if you heard what I had to say in my mind, it sounds very articulate and very well put together, but sometimes I have a hard time physically saying that. So I hope this helped you understand something about what Jesus was saying, and I hope you understand that when Jesus is talking to people, he's not telling them, you have to do this. He's giving them the option to, because free will is important as far as being closer to the connection of God. We could be the angels and be the servants, or we could be the sons and daughters of God. That's where Jesus is trying to help them get to, but he's giving you the option to. Part of the reason of her to go find her husband, if she didn't go find her husband and understand the connection of what he was saying, she wouldn't have gotten that well within her. So it was her choice. But just like our choice, my choice, your choice, everybody has a choice to do something. And I can't tell you, you must, you have to, you will absolutely have to do everything I say. You have to do this for you. This is on you. And so that's all I got to say. I hope that this was a good message for you today. I didn't get to do too much of the connection right now. I'll probably have to do that sometime this week. I'll put some more gospel connections together to combine them, so we can juice that for the best possible understanding of what he's trying to say. And so, yeah, I'll have to try to get that this week. So thanks for watching. If you did enjoy, please leave a like down below. If you want to subscribe, that'd be awesome too. Thanks everybody for watching me on Minds. I know I've got a lot of people on Minds watching me, and it's really nice to have you there. If you want to leave a comment on Minds too, you can. And so I will see you in a few days, probably, once I get some more videos of this up. And so have a great afternoon and go with Christ.